our monthly. Trying to come up with a brand name for it. I'm thinking dopamine re-energizer, prospecting re-energizer. But basically, David and Rosalind, I kind of told you guys we're very focused on lead generation. So I figured, when Rosalind and I talked back in December, like no better person to bring on than David. And so, Mr. David, if you want to quickly introduce yourself, I actually have a slide for you here, and I'm going to be managing the slides over. I hope, does everybody see the slides on here? You guys can give a confirmation. Okay, perfect.
Well, I appreciate that. Appreciate the kind introduction, of course. I'm trying to, let me see if I can just make my screen full screen so I can see all of you better. Apparently needing technological support over here. What's new, right?
Yeah,
Okay, there we go. We're good now. I see this.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
I see the screen now.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Robert, Pam, Frank, Kristen, Madeline, Angel, Jeff, Conrad. We met you down there with Cris last time, or in the spring, I guess it was. Yep. Good to have you on as well. Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. I'll to share my background, I'm going to keep it very brief because, to be perfectly honest, I hope you'll all appreciate this one. I'm at a stage of life where I'm over all of that. I don't really care what people think, which, by the way, is great for business. It really does help. But I'm kind of past the point of feeling a personal need to edify myself, if you know what I mean. And hopefully we all feel that way, because it's much easier to build a business when you treat it as a business, which generally means you're doing way more marketing. I hope that's one of your punchlines from this short Zoom today. But that will be my objective with you. Here's the punchline, if I could, for you guys. About 10 years ago, at the tender age of whatever it was, 47, I walked away from my CEO role with a database marketing company based in Torrance, California, that marketed for companies. Companies would hire us to help them build their, pipeline sales, et cetera. And I ran that company for 6 years, but I finally quit December of 2013 because I had this entrepreneurial bug since college, frankly. And I was always wanting and desiring of having my own. I don't know. I thought it was going to be a consulting practice or whatever. Here we are 10 years later. It looks radically different from anything I ever wanted or imagined, if you know what I mean. Welcome to the real world. But it has grown like bananas. And the principles of how it grew are what I really wish I could make you guys drink my magic elixir, if you know what I mean, and do the damn things that I'll share with you here. I know, because I've been coaching for 10 years, that, Roz and I always joke that coachable people, they're rare. Even the ones that coach with you, it's rare. But my objective here with this short time with you guys is to kind of throw a bunch of stuff against the wall at you, have you cherry pick, if you will, find one or two things that fit in your tool belt that you think are, ooh, this could be helpful, run with it, watch what happens. Is that fair? We started this thing, I didn't know anybody in real estate. My background in real estate as of 10 years ago, zip, zilch, nada. Well, my brother-in-law, so my wife, my beautiful wife, Martha, from Colombia, her brother, who lives in Rancho Cucamonga, California, beautiful Rancho Cucamonga, or near Rancho now, Juan Carlos Trujillo, comes to me in month 3 of my new endeavor with no clients, of course, right? And he said the weird magic words that changed my life and put me on this weird path with Roz and Cris and you guys now. He basically said, hey, dude, while you're trying to figure out what you're doing, why don't you practice coaching me and my realtor buddies? Now, everybody understand, my background in real estate was this. I still have the metrics and the spreadsheets from that group of realtors. So just for fun and giggles, I'm going to pop it up on a screen for you right now, because I want you to know this. I started with realtors, 7 of them. They came to my house March 24th of 2014. The 10th year anniversary was 1 month away. It was a Sunday. 7 guys. He brought only his buddies, who are all but one Spanish speakers too, right? We had them all over to the house in Rancho Palos Verdes. We did disc assessments. We got to know each other. And then listen up carefully, because the process is what's important here. Are you ready? I started driving every Thursday from Rancho Palos Verdes to Rancho Cucamonga out with these 7 buddies. They were all friends for an hour from 8 to 9 in the morning on a Thursday. All of this stuff matters, by the way. And all I did was the 1 hour with those guys. I told them, I don't know anything about real estate. I don't even care about knowing anything about real estate. I will help you grow. And here's how. Are you ready? We're going to spend the first 15, 20 minutes of the get together reviewing your numbers. Okay. And then we're going to talk about whatever. Businesses, marketing, delegation, wealth building, you know, who won the Super Bowl. I don't care. We'll talk about whatever you want. Everybody got it. That literally was the routine. And as dumb as that sounds, I actually learned that from Google CEO Eric Schmidt. If you ever want to pick up a really, really wild and great read, go get The $1 Trillion Coach, which was written by Eric Schmidt, former CEO of Google, who, by the way, has this palatial home right on the beach down in Dana Point near the two big hotels down there, literally. And he wrote it as an ode to his decades-long coach, business coach, who had just passed away, a guy by the name of Bill Campbell, who, get this, was on the original Apple board when Steve Jobs was fired, was Steve Jobs' only supporter at the time. When Jobs came back, he brought Bill Campbell back to be the chairman of the board of Apple. And he then started coaching the Google guys, who else? The Facebook guys. I mean, that's why he calls him the $1 Trillion Coach. Got it? And he taught, in that book, you'll hear about it also, a regimen for how to conduct weekly meetings and daily huddles, which are, for me, foundational to running a great business and scaling. That'll knock your socks off. And I started doing this with these realtors. Is that fair? So let's just take a look. You want to see how complicated this was? Watch this, people. Cris, can I do a screen share for a sec?
Yep.
Is that possible?
Yep. Let me see.
Okay, let's see. I think if you go down, there should be a screen share button near the bottom somewhere.
Yeah.
And then there should be an arrow top right. There you go. I got it.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, watch it. Check this out. So this is the actual spreadsheet from 2014, 15, whatever. And you can see, here's my brother-in-law, JC, Juan Carlos, who did 2 million in volume in 2013. And in 2014, he did 3.7. And you can see that these 7 guys, Camilo and Henry and Rodrigo, did 17 million. And 1 year into this thing with these guys, they're at 33 million. Watch this. 2 years, 78 million, the same freaking 7 guys. They went from an average GCI of 40, 50K to 200. That is not normal. And you all know that. What on earth did we do? Are you ready for the really, really crazy, dumb punchline? Because it really is this simple. Okay. We measured daily the following. Watch this. If this looks complicated, the spreadsheet, these are weekly summation numbers, but over on the right are the daily columns. And Camilo Romero on March 25th of whatever this was, 2014, 15, whatever it was, did 1 face-to-face appointment with a potential client, had 1 listing for whatever dollar amount. All we measured, watch this. Forget these. I'll tell you what we measure now, 10 years later. Ready? Is this mostly realtors, by the way, or we do realtors, lenders on this?
We got a mix. We got a mix of realtors and lenders here.
Okay, good. Ready? Number 1 for all of you. Measure appointments. For realtors, face-to-face. For lenders, it can be by phone or Zoom. I don't know how it works and you get away with it, but it actually works in your industry. Number of appointments. Got it? Realtors, face-to-face. Number 2, all we measured literally was active listings, open escrows, and closes, which are just scoreboard numbers. We only tracked 1 freaking activity. Appointments. Does everybody understand the reason you're not doing more business has nothing to do with what everybody tells you? It's not door knocking and cold calling. In fact, that's a great way to slow down your business. Interesting. They are among the worst channels. If I coach somebody privately who's good at cold calling, I want them to do more cold calling. But almost everybody sucks at it, doesn't want to do it, never lifts a finger to do it anyway. You got to build a business through database, social media, and events. We're going to talk about that. Did everybody catch that? Okay. Because most of you are going to say, 80%, 60%, 90% of my business came from past clients, referrals, and Sphere. Yeah. So if you want to double your business, are you ready? There's only 2 ways to do it. And they all really, it's the same channel, the same roadmap. As Brian Tracy, if you don't mind, I got to poke fun at some of the coaches. You know who, the famous coach, is trying to get you to increase your close percentage from 38 to 42%, grinding the crap out of the person in front of you. I don't believe in that crap. I believe in flooding the funnel, as Cris knows. It's my favorite expression of all time. I have no idea what it means, but I'll try to give you a flavor. It just means build your marketing funnel chaotically and without fear. Are you good with that? Let me give you Brian Tracy's definition. I think he's still alive, right? He used to say, if you want to double your sales, simply double the number of sales appointments you go on. Everybody catch that? Realtors and lenders. It works almost as well for lenders. Listen to this one. We discovered, because I'm a numbers nut, if you haven't figured that one out already, and I can show you spreadsheet after spreadsheet after spreadsheet of LOs and realtors. Let me show you a couple real quick here. Like here's Lynn Munger Perry. So I coach her privately since 2018. Look at her income, 290, 330, 540 last year, 669. So far this year, 59K. I thought there were 8% interest rates and the market sucks. Yeah, think again. I just got off the Zoom just now with Martin Gonzalez, who last year just started coaching with me again. He used to coach with me 4 or 5 years ago and got frustrated because last year sucked for him. He only made 207 in traditional real estate, 45K in flips and finder fees. He's already this year at 38K in traditional commissions and 87K in flips. Are you with me? Okay. Or let me show you another one. The only reason I'll show you spreadsheets is there's power in this kind of tracking. Joanna Chavez, Roz and I were just talking to her this morning. Kristen met her on a Zoom this morning. She had her best year ever as an LO, 125K last year. Okay, I could show you, I'm not making this up, 30 to 40 spreadsheets like that with increases last year, increases. Why? Are you ready? Please write this down because great business owners think on paper. Realtors don't, lenders don't, but great business owners think on paper. Okay? Great business owners think on paper. You get what you measure. And the more frequently you measure it, the better it gets. Cris, we're gonna offer this, Cris is giving us the opportunity to spend a few minutes at the end and just share what things we can do to support your business. And obviously that's why we do these, but we like Cris. We do it even if he didn't give us the opportunity, but we love him. But listen to this carefully, please. This is one of the things we do because our coaching includes, get this, as cheesy as this sounds, a daily Zoom that goes 15 minutes from 7:45 to 8 in the morning. It's super chill, but listen to this. 100, you can't make this stuff up. 100% of the participants in that small group had an increase last year. There are lenders and realtors in that group. There was not one person who even matched 2 years ago. Every person had an increase. Does everybody understand? Accountability is just a dialogue with somebody not named you. And the more frequently you have it, the better the result. Everybody understand that? Measuring is a focus that doesn't exist otherwise. Are we good? Accountability, you got it. I heard from someone, it was one of John Maxwell's coaches or whatever. He once said, coaching is a conversation and accountability is a dialogue. And you can see I still haven't memorized. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly it. When I coach people think it's like a Seinfeld episode. They're like, dude, what do you even do? And I'm like, well, not too much, actually. We spend a few minutes looking at the numbers and updating the scoreboard. And then we talk about things of interest, and I'll chime in with something if I think you're missing something. But otherwise, it's just, let's build a relationship. And let's...
Oh, sorry about that, David. I think I accidentally muted you, brother. Is he still talking? Hey, Mr. David, David, I accidentally muted you. I apologize, brother.
Okay,
Okay,
I think we're good now.
Thank you, bro.
There you go. So who knows what you missed? I'm sure it was, who knows if it was useful. Hopefully it was useful, but does everybody understand, if you heard that quote that somebody once said, coaching is a conversation, accountability is a dialogue. I agree with that. And that my coaching sessions, I don't know if you heard me mention that some people say, what on earth do you even do? I don't even get it. And I'm like, literally, I don't know. All we're doing is a couple minutes of reviewing your numbers and updating them. Do you guys understand if I review your numbers with you for a few minutes, like a minute or two every day or every other week or every week or whatever people do with me and stuff like that, is it crazy for you? I want you to trust me on this one. Take a leap of faith with me. It's ridiculous, but it's true. Almost 100% of the time, if you just keep showing up all year, you'll have an increase. And we haven't done anything else. We haven't gotten smart or strategic around marketing and flooding the funnel. That makes sense? Everybody get this?
Yeah.
But we'll share with you how we can offer to do this for you. I don't know if you heard me mention this thing about Cris giving us the opportunity to share. And if you do, wonderful. If you don't, wonderful. But you understand, even when we do lunch and learns like this or whatever this thing, I guess there's no lunch. So I don't know what we call this, a training event, not a lunch and learn, but Do you guys understand? Even this is an example of flooding the funnel. We have a friend named Cris. He has 12 to 15 friends or whatever, right? Who are on the Zoom. We pour into you all without any expectation of anything. And at the end, we share a couple of things we do. And maybe somebody, one or two bite. Great. Maybe one or two don't bite. Great. We go to the next group. Does everybody understand? You will run your business better if, let's go back to the punchline, you are obsessed with appointments at all times. Right now we have, I don't know what this is, 12 appointments. I don't know if you include Cris, 13. Everybody understand what we just did? We have 13 appointments. What did we have to do for the 13 appointments? Nothing. We have a friend named Cris. Use us. Everybody got it. But you don't think like this in your business. You're too busy cold calling and door knocking people who don't know you and maybe not even interested. We go to people we already know and work through them. Does that make sense? Your database is your sales force. Ooh, your business looks different when you treat it as such. Cris is our mouthpiece or whatever you want to call it here. Does that make sense? In a way, by definition, if Cris is having us on, he's saying we're good people, right? And that's what I want all of my realtors and lenders to do. So can I get direct at punchlines for you guys instead of even indirect? I hate to do the, Cris, I hate to do the, if I was a realtor, if I was a lender, here's what I do, but I'm going to do it anyway, just because for the purpose of time and for the purpose of hopefully you gleaning some good stuff, folks, okay? Real quick. If you're not at six figures, the magic number is 4 face-to-face appointments for a realtor or 4, whatever you call them, appointments for a lender weekly. Everybody catch that? Give or take, it's imperfect number, but man, I have enough spreadsheets to show you that that's about it. Is that cool? And then I have all these realtors saying, Dave, you're a coach, you work with all these people all over the place. You know all the different marketing channels. What's the magic elixir that I'm missing? And I'm like, dude, there's no magic elixir. What you're missing is you don't actually try to grow that which is already working for you, right? And how are you going to build a business if you only meet with one person a week or 0 or whatever you people do? I've never seen a business where people always ask, how do I grow my business when they never even open the doors to their business? So everybody understand, if you do 4 appointments, you're going to have this kind of 1 close a month-ish vibe. If you've been in the business a long time, it might be better than that because you already have flow or whatever. But if you do, listen to this, if you do 8 appointments a week, your business does not double, it multiplies. It goes bananas. There's kind of a tipping point effect. Okay. So what I would like to do with you, Cris, if you want me to touch on leadership and personal growth or some kind of marketing hacks, I'm good either way. What do you got?
I was gonna tap in. I actually wanted to say what's funny about all of this is that everybody on here is actually like a great producer. And it's just funny. We had a slide for leadership and personal growth. I mean, does it just make sense to you, David, that good producers just end up continuing to show up to finding ways to just better themselves? And it sounds so cliche, but people actually took time out of their day, and we're so appreciative that you guys hopped on to get that little energy boost. Because I think that was another point that I was trying to make, David, when I was marketing this event. Like, hey, sometimes you need to hear a different voice behind you to just kind of like get some new ideas or just fill that tank up again, because we all have those days where prospecting and networking, you feel depleted, and you don't feel like doing it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm going to actually, and because you mentioned that this is generally some stronger performers, so I'll assume there are a bunch of, over 100K types too. We're going to slightly do this a little differently. Okay, let's assume that's you. Then you probably fit in the category of being an operator. I'm going to go off tangent for just 5 minutes here, if you don't mind. I do want to come back to marketing because it's kind of the thing that we're well known for on a couple of strange and interesting tactics to kind of increase your funnel flow, if you will, right? But before we get to that, and when you're talking about leadership development, hey, look, that's where it all starts. Like for all of us, it's still about morning routines and, how are you going to grow? How are you going to go from 12 to 30 or whatever number of widgets you do, if you don't change you? It's the be, do, have thing. You want to have different results? Got to do different daily habits and activities. The only way that's going to change is if you change who you hang out with. So whether it's morning routines, books, tapes, CDs, podcasts, role models, mentors, you will not change your life until you start hanging out with people that do different. Interesting? So I applaud you all for being on here. Let's do a little roadmap for the world. Ready? The problem for most so the people I privately coach are mostly 100 to 400K types, okay? Although mixed in there, I have 2 8-figure earners who are totally insane and crazy people, and I love them. But it's mostly what I call operators. Please write this down. The first stage of successful business is what I call the operator. The operator is someone like most of you, I'm presuming, who have a work ethic, have technical skill, meaning you know your business, right? You know your product. However, you view the business as you do everything. You do everything. You think that in order to make more money, you have to do everything yourself. You're a perfectionist. God forbid you should delegate something to somebody else who doesn't do it nearly as well as you do, right? You think you own a business, but the business owns you. You can fill in with every cliche you can think of, right? That's the operator. Everybody follow? I coach almost entirely operators who don't know how to be owners. Got it? Because you can't do 800K a year or 1.2 million a year as an operator. You can't. There's not physically enough time, energy, and health to do that many transactions. Are you with me? When I started coaching, I could show you the spreadsheets. I just showed it to somebody this morning. Me being the one-man wrecking crew for about a year until I started hiring people, I was doing, whatever, 12K a month, 15K a month, 22K a month, whatever. I hired Roz, who we'd worked together in corporate environments before, and a woman in India named Minu. Ready, everybody? Minu sent messages out through text, email, Facebook Messenger, Instagram DM. Roz took those messages and scheduled appointments for me, and the machine started. Roz came aboard, and maybe 90 days later, we're at 35K, 40K a month, 45K a month. We added 2 more people that Cris may know, Shavita and Amani, who started with us, I can't remember, 2017 or whatever it was, and suddenly 70K a month, 90K a month, 120K, crazy stuff. The operator does not think like an owner. Please write this down. This is my favorite topic of all. An owner is obsessed with leverage, obsessed. Leverage through 4 different channels. Are you ready? The great levers. In case you're curious, think of a lever as being like a seesaw. It's a lever, right? You sit on one end and the other end shoots up. A lever is something that gives you disproportionately high return on investment, right? A business owner is like, how do I make way more for the same effort? Or how to make more and work less or whatever, right? Okay, ready? Lever number 1, coaching, mentoring, and role modeling. The return on investment's huge if you hang out with people that are crazy. Make sense? That do big things or whatever. If you spend a lot of time with them, you start becoming more like them whether you realize it or not. I coached with Rich Dad, Keith Cunningham, literally for 2 years at a cost of 60 grand a year, by the way, 2010 and 11. Okay. I'm now doing crazy also coaches for something else entirely right now. Crazy? I still believe in coaching more than my clients, right? Okay, number 2, marketing, flooding the funnel. Marketing is a lever. You know what's crazy? The best levers in marketing are the ones that cost the least amount of money. Database, social media, and events. Got it? But yes, you can pay for cold leads. You can do the affiliate leads, like where, you pay a percentage after the close, like the Yacht Cities and the Red Pens and the Photos. You can do cold lead generation. You can do, et cetera, right? But the warm stuff is still where it's at. Okay, next one. If you want to say third lever in business, delegation through people. Okay. So we have kind of 4 people on our core team. Myself, Rosalind, who you see here, these other women, Amani and Shavita. I've got these 3 crazy rock star women. If you remove any one of the 4 of us, this business looks radically different. Does that make sense? It's just the way, it's 1 + 1 = more than 2. It's just kind of how, when you get great people, the return on investment is something fierce. Is that fair? Different conversation for a different day. Here's the last one for you. You ready, people? I'm going to throw you all curveballs here. The 4th great lever is different products, having a multitude of products. I started with just coaching, but we started adding on business services products. Coaching last year, Cris, was 12% of revenues for us. Is that unbelievable?
Wow.
It's shrinking.
Wow.
By intention. So we've grown a business beyond the job. Does that make sense? Okay. That's kind of hat number 2 in business, or stage number 2 is the owner. Most of the people I work with need to be around that a lot, where we're looking at what can we do to make more and work less? What can we do to scale? What can we do to add more revenues from the same people we're already doing business with, right? It would be like that guy Martin, who I was just had the coaching session with, and you saw his numbers, who's not just doing traditional real estate, but finding flips and acquisition, doing wholesaling while he's out doing traditional real estate too. Same amount of time, right? Etc. Cool. Okay. Your next stage of business, I would call active investing. That could be flips and wholesaling. You're now creating bigger dollar amounts on transactions that do take your sweat equity. Stage number 4 is what I would call passive investing, where you're building up through rental properties, Airbnbs, whatever. You're trying to get a net cash flow that covers the nuts so that you theoretically don't have to work, even though you might choose to, right? Okay. That could include lending, right? Personal lending I'm talking about now, right? And then stage number 5 might be like sort of legacy wealth or crazy big, generational wealth, where you're doing things like syndication deals and 5+ commercial deals and whatever, right? Cool. I like doing this roadmap because it's important for you to know where you are so you don't get stuck there for 42 years. You follow? How many operators do all of us know that get stuck in the 200, 300K range for 20 years and they have no idea how to break out of it? They don't know how to do 800, and they think this is the way they do things is the only way they know how to do things. Does that make sense?
David, we have a question from Pam in the chat here. It says the 4 appointments, do you mean meetups or qualified listing and buyer appointments?
Yeah, so I have kind of a weird attitude about this one. Let's try this one out for size. Whatever definition you have for an appointment is fine with me, but just do way more than you ever did before. How's that? I'll tell you that for me, the definition of an appointment is meeting somebody who wants to talk about your stuff. I don't care if it's a now or if it's a later-ish thing. Can I share with you something a little bizarre that most of you will probably disagree with me on? When I started in your industry and I started having realtors tell me that they were sending the potential buyer to a lender to get pre-qualified first, I thought that was the dumbest crap I've ever heard in my life. You pray to the good Lord for business, and now you're saying, I'm sorry, but you don't deserve time with me yet. Go talk to that dude over there, and if and when you're cultivated, I'll go spend time with you. Are you out of your freaking mind? People, we are to build relationships with everybody on the face of the planet. I used to tell people I know well, look, I don't care if the person's 23-year-old and clearly has bad credit. You meet with him because he has friends, he has families, he has co-signers, everybody's a mouthpiece for you guys. Does this make sense, people? If we pour into you and nobody does anything with us and we love on you and keep pouring into you, you don't think that's going to lead somewhere? It's a never-ending legion of appointments with people to talk about your product, and you will get clients more than ever before. Interesting? Everybody understand the philosophy? Which is why you want to know my favorite lead generation script for realtors and lenders alike? My personal favorite that gets the highest response rate right now. I first name any interest in buying an investment property sometime in the near future. You will get a lot of yeses. And if you're wise, you'll schedule appointments with every one of them and do overdose on coffee or whatever you do, right? Because that will lead to transactions galore and a pipeline for later galore too. Does this make any sense, people? Or into people. So that's my recommendation on the program. Does that make sense? My own brother-in-law was doing 12s and 15s every week after about 6, 7, 8 months. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
And so I also I feel like as a proof of concept for anyone who hasn't known about David or used his methodology, I actually still have the old notes from when you taught us at Easy Fundings, David. And look, I took this as a I ran away with it. And I wanted to actually show, because you were showing transparency of numbers. I wanted to show my actual CRM. I mean, just between yesterday and today, we've gotten 7 leads. One guy from a car wash that he saw my card at. 2 of these are from actual realtors, and then one actually replied on my bomb email. So when it comes to like that omnipresence, it's incredible. Like what marketing on all these channels and all these levers can do. And I was sitting here at the office the whole time. I also wanted to tell you guys, I actually teach a LinkedIn class, David, and Ross knows about this. And when I'm teaching this LinkedIn prospecting class, I actually talk about Oswaldo, who's part of your guys' organization, who's actually messaging and just setting appointments for me. But it's not from a sales standpoint where it's like, oh, like, do you want to qualify for a mortgage? It's just relationships. And you go into those conversations so relaxed because you're just literally just talking with the person, asking them, and I'm just databasing them. For me, it's like, can I get an email or phone number? Not necessarily, the application will come later either from them or from somebody else. But like that's even changed up my networking where I used to be like walking into a NAREP event or walking into a veterans event thinking how many leads can I get? Now it's how many relationships, how many mouthpieces can I get?
Beautiful. Well said. Well said, Chris. Love it. Love it.
I'll go back.
I'd like to share just a couple of, I don't know if you want to call them database and social media hacks or whatever the right word is for it. Would that be okay with you guys if we spend about 10, 15 minutes on this? This is, I hate to do the if I was a realtor, if I was an LO or whatever, but here goes. I'm going to do it anyway, if that's okay. I know people are generally not coachable to this type of thing, but I think you'll glean some good stuff, and this is very important. Ready? If you ask me, let me show you an example of somebody who's like unbelievably coachable. Just as imperfect as you or me or anybody else, but what it kind of looks like to do a very structured and disciplined, I'll call it a business plan, but it's a one-pager that's even shorter than one page. Let's talk marketing for a second. Tony Robbins has a theory. He calls it the rule of threes. He says the human brain works like this: 1, 2, 3, overwhelm. Right? And I found that to be true. If I ask somebody, what are you going to do in marketing in order to have success this year? If you start giving me this whole litany of action items, I know you're not going to do any of them. Interesting? But if you keep it super simple, watch what happens. My favorite clients are the ones that do 1 or 2 or 3 things, but they go deep. Is that fair? So let me give you my favorite 3 things with a little bit of color commentary on them. Are you ready? Here's a lender who's done a version of this, and he's been very effective with it, as you'll see in a second. He's an LO in Chino Hills. Maybe you know him through the Grapevine Rush. Great guy. And as you can see here, as an LO, he had his best year ever last year. Unbelievable, right? So much for 8% interest rates, right? This year, he's off and running. He's got 35K in so far, right? And we're February 14th. Okay, good. So, but watch this. Watch this. Here's Rush's business plan. His business plan, forget all the stuff at the top, is 3 action items for database, and he tracks the numbers. You can see this. 3 action items for social media, and he tracks the numbers. And 3 action items for events. He's super coachable. He's kind of the rare person that, like, we tell him what to do and he does it. Does everybody understand that all I want from him is, I don't care what strategies he uses to build his business. I care that he's intentional. I care that he keeps it simple. And I care that it's measurable. Is that fair? So let me give you my favorite for database and social media and events here. Number 1, for database. Database means 2 things: your cell phone and your CRM. Are we good? Okay. There's actually a free app that you can download called Reach. Got to be careful with it because I think I've overused it, and Apple doesn't like me so much, but that's a whole another story. But the Reach app, REACH, you can download it for free, and you can send group messages, but it comes off with first names and looks individual. Interesting? Turns your cell phone into a CRM. Best response rate of anything on the face of the planet because it's your cell phone number, not even the CRM number. Interesting? Okay, anyway. Database for me means your CRM and your cell phone, which is why Roz and myself, when we go do these types of events, we're trying to get more data, names, phones, and emails from people like crazy. So we have more people to market to always. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, let's say 1A under, let's give you 2, I'll give you 2 database action items. Ready? Number 1 is 100 direct ask messages daily. My favorite. You do that one all year long, you're doing more business, period. However, most realtors and lenders don't like doing it because they get self-conscious about what are people going to think, which is incompatible with business growth. Most realtors and lenders are like, how much is too much? And how many times can I just ask them? And isn't it uncool if I just keep them asking directly? I'm like, no, they can opt out and you'll get more data. The problem is you don't get more data. And the problem is you're hypersensitive to what people think. Make sense? If you, before I got to this industry, I'd never seen that in my life. Every business owner on the planet that I know is like, I want 1 million impressions a day. I don't care what people think. I want 10 million impressions a day. Realtors and lenders are like, oh, if I message them a second time in 1 month, is that too much? You understand the problem here. Roz and I are shameless about this stuff, if that's the right word, where we send daily texts, emails, Facebook Messenger messages, and Instagram DMs, right? With a direct ask question. Now, here's the trick. Ready? Yes or no questions under 20 words. 20 words or less get you the highest response rates. Hi, Susie. Any interest in buying or selling a home? Let me read you a text from a realtor in Covina, James Watford, who's a good friend of ours, longtime client. Okay. I got this text message from him on Friday. David, in my monthly newsletter I sent out, I asked people in a poll, are you considering buying or selling a home in 2024? 10 people said yes and maybe. Now I know who my new hot leads are. Ask. Does this make sense? Our approach is you send 100 messages out, you must get 2 or more yeses, or you immediately change the script. It's not about having the magic script. It's about running a business like a business where you test, measure, and adjust. Test, measure, and adjust. Our 2 highest rated scripts for realtors and LOs are the same ones. Any interest in buying or selling a home sometime in the near future or in 2024 or whatever. Any interest in buying an investment property sometime soon. If you start sending out we'll get to Facebook and Instagram in a minute, but if you start sending out 100 messages a day from your cell phone like that and your CRM by text and email, or maybe you don't want to do it every day and you do 3,000 in one day, once a month, or whatever, you're going to have a lot of leads. Everybody understand the 2% rule? Send out 100 messages, get 2 leads. That means if you're sending out 1,000, everybody follow how this works? We push buttons. We sit at our desks where I'm in Tennessee right now. Roz is in San Bernardino. It doesn't matter where we are. We don't have to be anywhere. Everybody good? Okay. A second one for database, a hack, if you will, is gift giving. The law of reciprocity is still powerful. There's a great book written by a former KW guy called Giftology, where he talks about gifting strategies. My favorite is pick 25 or 50 or 100 people, whatever, gift them quarterly with discipline, 4 times a year. The sweet spot's 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year, in case you're curious. Unconditional gifts, no scripting, no nothing. Delivering them in person is even better if you're crazy enough to run around. I actually worked with a married couple in Chino, if you know them, Letitia and Alberto Sotomayor, they're very high volume, who paid a young 20-something-year-old guy to deliver gifts for every day, all day long. Crazy? And he wore a polo shirt and when nobody answered the door, he took a photo, and then Alberto and Letitia pretended they delivered it in person and sent the photo and said, we stopped by, blah, 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 right? Okay, that's another database strategy. You will get business from it. And I like the Buffini, $5, $10 gift. It's not the cost it's not the cost that counts, or whatever the expression is, right? It's the thought that counts. It is the thought that counts. Okay, anyway, let's go to social media, my favorite. Ready? This is a big one. I'll give you 3 on this one. Number 1, send daily 29 Instagram DMs and 29 Facebook Messenger messages daily with a direct ask. At 30, they do not get delivered. It's their spam blockers. That's the number. So you can send 58 messages a day, and if you do my math, you should get 1 lead per day from Facebook and Instagram alone. Are you good? I mean, we'll do
David,
stuff.
Can you repeat the numbers one more time?
29 plus 29, 58 per day.
Okay. So 29 Facebook, 29 Instagram.
Yeah. I'm going to show you one that we have. Let me show you one here if I could. This is a little more well, let me show you a crazy one here. I was just looking, if you guys know Christian and Jeanette Fuentes over at Remax Top Producers. So we longtime clients and friends, great people. Anyway, I mentioned them because they're having an event about couples or relationships and marriage and business and stuff like this. And they have these guests, a married couple, Adriana and Richard. Roz knows where this one's going already. So Adriana is Adriana from Adriana's Insurance. Okay. Richard is her husband, who also happens to be an executive coach. Cool. I am right now looking if I can find it on Instagram, if you're wondering what I'm doing here. Let's see if I can find it. Because we sent Richard one of our 29 Instagram DMs. Okay. Richard Martinez. Let me see if I can find him real quick, guys. And this is very important because if I can do the shared screen again, let's see if this will work. Here we go. And here's Richard's messages and blah, blah, blah. Okay. And if you go all the way back to 2000, I don't know what year it is when we started with him. I think we started messaging him, and I'm not making this up. I think it was 2015, people. Okay. And you'll see these messages. Let's see. Hi, Richard. Any interest in a virtual assistant for $375 a month? This was back in 2020. Okay. He left a voicemail saying, I'd like more information. True story. This is 2020. But if you go back, you'll see we started messaging him in, I think, 2019. There you go. Any interest in one-on-one coaching? Got it? Okay. 2 years ago, Richard Martin, Adriana's Insurance was our #1 client.
Wow.
Doing a whole bunch of VAs with us, virtual assistants. Is that crazy?
Wow.
You know what it cost us to send that message? I think it was 5.3 cents. Crazy? You know how many messages we sent over the years to him? Maybe 20. We spent $1 on marketing. Everybody got this? And if you want us to send the messages for you at that kind of cost or whatever, it comes out to, great. We'll share with you how in a few minutes. Cool? Everybody good? Let me give you a second social media hack, if you will. This is a weird one. It's stories on Facebook and Instagram. And don't ask how we stumbled into this one. It's just because we're crazy. We like to experiment. Hopefully I don't make Rosalind's life too upside down with all our crazy experiments. Here we go. Ready? I'll give you an example. I think this one's up right now. We did something where, actually, you know what? Let me go back, my wife. Let me go back and show you an archived one for a second that might be a better example of this. Watch this. This is a juicy one, so I'll take a minute or two on this, and then I'll speed up with all the rest of the hacks, if you will. Okay, you can see all the messages coming in constantly, right? Let's go to the story archive. Watch this. So you'll notice a pattern in our messaging. Okay. Let's do this one. We do a photo that has nothing to do with anything. Well, sometimes, this one is a training event, but most of the time I'll use a different, here you go. Just a photo or a video, Instagram worthy to catch a lot of attention. 173 people viewed this story. Right behind it, there's my 4-pound terrier over here, who's under my legs as we speak. And right behind it, one David for your office lunch and learn. And right behind it, thank you KW Kavina for our event yesterday. And right behind it, and we do a bunch of them, and then you go to the last one. Do you guys understand that if somebody's still looking at the 5th one, these 67 people, they're probably interested. What I'm trying to tell you all is you've just created a free click funnel. I want you to think about this, and you don't have to spend money on everybody's advertising mishmash. It makes sense. You post 1 or 2 stories right after each other, sequentially, that have just good fun photos, videos, things like people will look at. And behind it, you go, any interest in buying an investment property? Next one, text yes to this number if you want to, you do 3 or 4 like that. Go to the 4th one, and here's what happens. We have noticed people that when we do that twice a week. Okay, that kind of the 5 stories and then 5 stories a few days later. We will get 1 lead each out of the 2 days that will literally direct communicate with me through my cell phone when I put that text me and whatever. Okay, but there's more. If you go to the 5th story, the last one that says whatever, assume there's some of them are interested. And then guess what we do? We have one of our virtual assistants send them private messages. Hi, Susie, would you like some information on that, whatever? Hi, Joe, would you like information on that? And we get more leads from that. Everybody understand the game here? So stories twice a week would be my second hack for you. Social proof posts twice a week would be my third hack for you. A social proof post is you posting a ton of pictures of you showing clients or meeting with a client in your office, tagging them and their family members, so all of their community sees it. Does this make sense? And if you do that twice a week, 100 times in a year, our experience was, Chris, that true story, and I won't take the time to look for it. When we did your event in Newport Beach, we posted the photos afterwards, if you remember, along with thank you to Chris and these other people and tagged everybody, whatever. In the comments, if you look, it was back in June or something like that, or May of last year, right? If you guys go back and find that post, right? And look in the comments, it literally says,
yeah, I'm actually going to look for it
yeah,
right now.
The first comment literally says Eduardo and Karina Ariza, who, by the way, have an excellent real estate office in Covina. It says, Roz, can you please reach out to me? Guess what they wanted? A lunch and learn. Guess what we did in their office in Covina 3-4 months later? 3 people signed up for products there. And this doesn't end here. Are you ready? They signed up for a product with us. Another woman who's best friends with the owners of Excellence signed up for a product with us. And now Roz has a scheduled call with the owners of Excellence for something. That all came because we posted Chris's photo with all his stuff from back in the spring. Does this make sense, people? Post pictures with your buyers. I don't care if they didn't like the houses that you looked at. Who cares? Post 7 pictures. Make a nice story about it. You're doing the journey of life together with people. Tag them, tag everybody, right? And all of their friends and see it. We used to also send friend requests to the people that liked the post because your buyers, let's say it's a buyer, just as an example, their friends and family members are liking the post. Why don't you send them a friend request and put a little note in there? Hey, your friend Susie is a mutual friend of ours and we're showing her homes. Mind if we keep in touch and build a friendship here on Facebook? Whatever. Okay, let's skip ahead. Third category, events. I'm not going to spend much time on it. I'm going to do about 5 minutes, but boy, I could do 2 hours on this, as you'll hear in a minute. Can I give you, if you do this one thing, you will do a deal a month out of nowhere that you never did before. Are you ready? Do a buyer's housewarming party once a month for someone whose deal you already closed. Do them for the new clients too that you close. Okay, buyer's housewarming parties. Pull up your close from your past clients from 2 years ago and go, Susie, I am so sorry I didn't throw you a party. I do it for everybody now. You are not getting out of it this year. I'm going to throw you a party. I don't care what the occasion is. I don't care if it's a quinceañera, no, not a quinceañera. That'll cost too much. I don't care if it's a birthday party. I don't care if it's an anniversary or whatever, right? I'm going to throw a party. And then I'll keep this short for now. If you guys ever want to do a whole nother trading just on events, Chris, we're nuts for this stuff, right? As you can see by what we're doing on Zoom with you right now. I tell people, you go meet with that person, whether it's on Zoom or whatever, and you spend whatever time it takes to get 40, 50, 60, 70 names, phones, and emails of people that you're going to invite to their party for them. Everybody know where this one's going. So now you got 50 names, phones, and emails. There you go, and scroll down below.
Yeah, that's
Click
I
on
thought
the
I ended up finding it.
click on the 6 comments on the right there, if you can. Yeah, all comments. There you go. You'll see this, and there it is. Eduardo and Karina, right?
Wow.
Please contact me. Interesting.
Yeah.
And then if you scroll 3 months ahead, you'll find their lunch and learn photos on our profile. Okay, so do the events. And then you send the fancy party invites by mail to every one of them. You don't say you're their realtor. You don't do that. You're their friend. You call every one of them up and leave most of them voicemail since most of them pick up. You serve humbly behind the food or the drink the entire party. You never mention you're their realtor. I am telling you right now, I coach people for 10 years. I track numbers like a hawk. You will get 1 close per party without asking for business. Lenders and realtors, you should split the cost and do a party for every frickin' person that exists, $300-400 each, whatever. You go, you humbly serve behind the food. You stay in one place the whole time. The host will, I'm telling you, the host is going to spend the whole party bringing people over to you to introduce them to their hero, the party thrower. If you want to go from 12 to 24 transactions, I'm telling you, that's the easy way. I don't care if you get no closes from the first party. Keep doing them. Next one, do Zoom informational events once a month. Do 12 of those suckers, like we're doing right now with you. Pour into people for 45 minutes. Share your product sheet. I'll show you our product sheet. We actually like when our clients make a product sheet like our product sheet, right? We do this, but did you know we also do this? Do you know we also handle these kind of loans? Do you know we also do this type of real estate transactions? Whatever. They don't know. They don't know. Is this kind of making some sense, people? Those events, pouring into people and sharing products, will lead to transactions. What did it cost you? Sending messages out? Doing confirmation messages? You don't even have to do that. You should delegate that, which we can do for you too. How crazy is that? Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
David, I just want to mention, so for lenders, it's tough to compete against the mortgage lender that's inside of the new builds. I actually had a guy who I served with in the Marine Corps, and I sent him to one of my realtor partners, and he ended up, like, I guess the guy felt really guilty, but he couldn't pass up the deal. He actually invited me to his housewarming party. And funny, the actual loan officer who didn't do the deal wasn't there. And that was one of my top like lead gen days. And it's like you're exactly right. Like they're so proud. They'll announce you like you were the person that actually brought them into that home. But yeah, that's just one example of it. So I've already seen the goals with it not even being an actual funded client. So
Love it, love it. I don't know if you know through the Mortgage Phoenix kind of grapevine or whatever, George and Favi Martinez out there in Rialto. They used to do,
yes,
I don't know, they're close with Francisco's dad or whatever. Anyway, here's the story. Are you ready, people? They used to do one party a year at the Pancho Villas that Francisco's dad owns out on the
yes,
10 freeway.
yes.
And I know this because I used to coach them privately, and they invited my wife and I, and we went to one of those parties at Francisco's dad's restaurant, right, with the mariachi bands and the full dinner. Did you know that the two of them claim to get about 5 or 6 sides a year from that one party?
Wow.
So guess what I did when I was coaching them privately? I said, if one party gets you five, or you know where this one's going already, right? So they started doing two.